We're really breaking through and we're opening doors for the next generation.
If you see someone who looks like you doing things out of the ordinary, it would encourage you that you can do the same thing or better.
Someone at some point might feel inspired just by the existence of these stories.
You can't always do what you're told.
Now we get to be in places of authority. Now I get to be a captain. Let's fly.
You know, some shit you just can't do. And me and Jack have both done some shit you just can't do. You know what I mean? So
speaking from
we're
experience.
Yeah. So we're not trying to tell hey.
Welcome to What's Burnin'. I'm here with Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, All the Smoke, dynamic duo. Matt, you look like you've had an early morning today.
It's a long one, Rach. You know my lifestyle. I get up early, send some emails, hit my morning joint, take the kids to school, go to work out, rush back here, meetings all day. It's just a day in the life, but I'm blessed and happy to be here with you guys.
Just a regular morning stack. He's all good.
Day in the life.
I love the fact that my boy stay busy. You know what I'm saying? He keeps me ping-ponging off all the stuff he got going on. So let him stay busy. He might be Jamaican, right?
We're going to get to all of Matt's little side projects later in the show. But first, guys, we got to talk about the big news. Kyrie trade is official. Luka-Kyrie tandem will have their first game together Wednesday night here in LA versus the Clippers. So just give it to me. Matt, what do you expect of this pairing? What do you think?
I expect it to take time. I look at it as, how blessed has Kyrie
right?
been to be able to play with a LeBron James,
Jason Tatum,
Kevin Durant, and Jason Tatum, and now he gets a chance to play with Luka. The obvious thing that stands out, Rach, is these are both ball dominant guys, but I'm to the notion of great players will figure out a way to coincide, and whether this is a long-term play, a year rental. I don't know. I expect it to take a little time to get going, but I expect it to be very exciting.
Yeah, they still one player away from me, Rach. I love Luka. I love Kyrie. I think it's going to be exciting basketball. It's going to be must-see TV. They got one of the best point guards of all time to coach both of them and put them in positions to be successful. Really just go out there and space the court and let these two guys do their job. But even if it's for a short term, Rach, it's going to be good to see. But it's not going to be championship basketball. It's not going to be what we expect to see from Luka and Kyrie. I think they're still one player away. But for just for the excitement of the game for the NBA, it's good. It's must see basketball right now.
And another thing too, Rach, real quick. Obviously on the offensive side, it looks good. But what does it look on the defensive side to lose? To lose a Finney Smith. With all due respect to Luka, he's not much of a defensive guy. He does absolutely everything else but defense. Kyrie works at it, but he's not the best defender. Christian Wood is not really a defender. So their core guys that they need to go to for offense aren't necessarily go-to guys on defense, so they're gonna have to really. J Kid's gonna have to get that team defense, help side, extra efforts, all that kind of stuff. They're really gonna have to work on the offensive end, or they're just gonna be a team too that's gonna try to outscore everyone. And we know in the playoffs that's not gonna work. And I agree with Jack. I don't think they're a championship contender, but I think they could be scary and get hot and
That's very charitable, by the way. Christian Wood, not the best defender. Isn't just numbers-wise, isn't he like one of the worst big men defenders in the whole league? That has been an usher.
Yeah. I didn't want to lay it on him. I didn't want to lay it on him that hard, but yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Since Jason Kidd, when he took over, they were so strong in defense. I think they were top 10, maybe 7th in the league. They finished that season. With Finney Smith, they're 24th this year. And then they just, gave that away. So, look, I get it. Western Conference, especially this year, where it feels so wide open. If you want to gamble on Kyrie with Luka, especially when Kyrie has to be, really mentally in it because he knows he's playing for a contract, I totally get trying to take that risk. But I am interested to see what works out, and especially long term. Kyrie, just when you talk about straight availability, that is the thing always about Kyrie from a basketball standpoint that worries me most is we all know, he's one of the most just talented players of all time, just full stop, period, right? Period.
Easily.
But, he never played, I looked it up, he never played more than 54 games this season for his entire time with Brooklyn. And when you looked up winning percentage, because of, I think, a lot of the availability issues, With Kyrie, they're 57% win percentage. Without Kyrie, it's a 57% win percentage. So they got so used to playing without him, it almost turned into a wash. I don't know. Like,
Right.
that is my question when you go in terms of, do they offer him a sort of long-term deal this summer? Because if they don't give him an extension, which it's been reported they're not going to do that this season, they want to see how it plays out. Then you get to the summer, he's available for a 4-year level max, right? So are you going to give him the whole bag for that kind of availability? What would you, I mean, Stack, you're a huge Kyrie fan, I know. How much of a monetary and year-long risk would you take on Kyrie, knowing sort of his health and availability issues for all kinds of reasons over the last few years?
Well, I mean, it was a lot going on, you know, when he was in Brooklyn, you know, and even though a lot of people talk about he didn't show up to work, Rach, well, he couldn't work because of the vaccine situation. And as you see now, they're giving people money for missing work. All the people that miss work because of the vaccine in New York, a lot of people are getting back pay, but they're not speaking on that for NBA players. So he wasn't wrong for not having to take it, because a lot of workers getting back pay. So they wouldn't be doing that if those people wasn't wrong. Wasn't right for standing up for themselves. And Kyrie was in that same situation because he was in New York. But a lot of situations you can't explain, Rachel. Regardless of what's going off the court, you have to be available. And I understand that as a basketball player. You have to be available. You have to be there for your teammates. And that's one thing. You can't let the stuff off the court affect that. A lot of people had hands in it to affect his play too. But at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility for your own acts. Like you said, I'm a big Kyrie guy. I understand what he does on the court is special. He's one of the top 15 players in the league right now. And if anybody get a chance to land him, they will. And I don't think that the situation he was going through in Brooklyn will occur again, because, like you said, a lot of stuff has passed on.
I just think he's so good, he's going to continue to get chances until he just can't play no more, because he's that goddamn good. And it's a good question. You know what I mean? We think his heart is in LA. So if they don't extend him, he becomes a free agent. I remember, Rachel, you said a long time ago that the Lakers' best move may be just be able to keep Russell the entire season, because his money comes off the books, and then that's going to allow the Lakers to have flexibility. And if Kyrie is available, they will end up getting him. So that's where he wants to be, Matt. Exactly. You know, that's exactly where he wants to be. So like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how this Dallas situation plays out. It could be a 1-year rental, but, I think Cuban was trying to make a splash. You got two of the most dynamic offensive players in an offensive-driven league. So,
if there's any year to do it in the West, this is the year. I've never seen the West this wide open ever. Yep. But you're right. They gave up a lot. If this just ends up being like a 5-month rental or whatever it is, like, think about how much they gave up. And then you heard LeBron yesterday in his interview with Michael Wilbon. He said, to me, Kyrie gives us a chance to win a championship. In his head, he's got Anthony Davis and Kyrie, the two teammates he's ever fit the best with. Of course they're going to go after him this summer if he's a free agent. It's dicey.
And then not to cut you off, Rach, but I feel like under Bron's guidance and leadership, I think we'll get to see just basketball Kyrie, which we've seen the last 2.5 months, and it's been absolutely amazing. But then you think, too, when it's time for LeBron to make a move on, you still have goddamn Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? So obviously you're going to miss the dynamic of the world is going to miss LeBron, but you still have a great core to continue to build off of.
Right? And Kyrie's health is the other issue. Just, he definitely, because of his size and just the way people go at him and defend him, he's had a bunch of injuries. Like, it's so many question marks going into this. As always, going to be interesting to watch it unfold. I do want to ask you guys, though, about the other side of it with the Nets. Stack, if you were Kevin Durant, where would your head be right now in terms of being in Brooklyn?
Well, if I was KD, I know him and Kyrie had a conversation about all this. And, they both have to be responsible for their own decisions and their own careers. Obviously, I think KD respects the fact that if Kai couldn't come with a decision, come with an agreement with Brooklyn, obviously a decision to move on, I think KD respected that, because it's about, it's about business at the same time and taking care of yourself and making your money. But I know in the back of his mind, he like, damn, here we go with, I got to go with this shit again. You know what I'm saying? I got to come back from injury. I got to try to will this team to the playoffs and try to get this team as far as we can with whatever we got. I don't anticipate him being there long, Rach. I think he's going to kind of force his way out of there some type of way. Probably not this season. But I know in the back of his mind, he's going to come out and be a professional and do what he has to do for the team. But he knows, damn, I got to go through this shit again, missing my so-called best friend.
I think it's obviously the clock is ticking on KD's career, which is unfortunate. He's still one of the greatest players in this game, and he'll go down as an all-time favorite. But something to keep in mind is, he's writing his ending. You know what I mean? We're not saying, it could be 3 to 5 years. We don't know how long it is. But the one knock on KD has been he hasn't won.
Right.
His team hasn't won it. So it could be now that, hey, they've pretty much cleaned house. I don't think Brooklyn is done making moves before the All-Star break. I think they're still going to try to make a splash. Ben Simmons hasn't been able to give them too much. I know the knee is a little worse than people are understanding, but at the same time,
info, Matt?
Availability is needed.
Is that inside info?
No, I've heard some things. So, to me, I think they could possibly clean house for KD and, allow him to kind of, hey, we handed the keys to Kyrie. It didn't really work. But, KD still is a superstar, top 5 player in the game. We trust KD because he's shown us loyalty. He shows us whenever he's healthy, he's going to play. He's going to give us his absolute most every time he steps on the floor. Let's try to rebuild the team real quick. And I think that, the management would be up to that. Obviously you don't want to have to lose all 3 of these guys. So, but on the flip side, I can see him possibly getting traded. But I just think he'll stick it out because the knock on him is his team hasn't won. And no matter where he goes, he may be the best player, but it's still going to be someone else's team.
Anything could happen in the next few days, so I'll never say never. I cannot imagine the Nets intend to trade him before this trade deadline because if they did, they would have wanted a different package for Kyrie, right? They would have wanted younger players. They wanted more draft picks. They clearly were looking for guys that can help them win now. There's all these rumors, and maybe by the time people are watching or listening to this, Spencer Dinwiddie would have already been traded. I don't know. As we sit here today, he is a Net, but he is certainly rumored to be on the block as they try to upgrade even there at point guard. So we'll see what happens with them. It's funny, this past summer when KD was specifically asking out, I kept saying, if I'm the Nets, I am not trading Kevin Durant. You have him locked up for the next 4 years, and no matter what you get, even with KD, as you said, Matt, being on sort of the backer, last third or whatever of his career, you're not getting value for Kevin Durant. And even if you get draft picks and all of that, I'm sorry, are you going to draft a Kevin Durant? I mean, this is in the group of one of the best players of all time. So I just think your odds of replacing him are low. And to me, I would just do whatever you had to do to keep him on the roster, even if he asked for another trade. I mean, we all lived through Kobe Bryant going on the radio and asking to be traded. And Jerry Buss at the time said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. You're Kobe Bryant and you're going to be a Laker. So I don't know. If I'm the Nets, I just focus everything on Kevin Durant. Matt, as you said, he's got the chance now to prove what he can do by himself or, with players that aren't superstars. And I think it could be fun. It could be a lot less drama than it's been the past couple of years. So, we'll see how it is. If you guys were Russell Westbrook, would you feel some kind of way about LeBron going on TV and saying, I'm disappointed the Kyrie trade didn't happen? Because he would have been dealt. Right?
It ain't. It ain't personal. It's business. I mean, this ain't the first time LeBron insinuated that he wanted Kyrie. This ain't the first time. Even other people have said things. But I think at this point, all things that's been said about Russ, everything he's been through from the fans, from the organization to everybody, and still being professional, I think he got tough skin.
Exactly. These shots came from inside the house.
Nothing bothers him right now.
This is not the fans or the media.
And I think he should be numbed at all at this point, Rach.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, I think that's a great point. That the fact that think about how much you can say what you want about his play. This guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and people obviously don't care currently what you've done in the past because they currently need to win, and I get that. But to think about what this guy has done to be who he was his entire career, sacrifice, go to the bench, become a 6-man, buy into that role, and he's not playing bad. I mean, his turnovers are the issue. You can complain about his shooting, but I like how aggressive he is on the offensive end. But he's had to sacrifice so much, and then, like you said, it's not only the LA fan base, it's not only the media. Now it's inside the locker room as well. So I mean, I just want to take my hat off to Russ for remaining a pro, going out there playing, being available, playing every single every single game possible, and just going out there and doing his job. This is a tough but like Jack said too, we get that this is a business now. You know, I don't know what it's going to be like in the locker room still, but at the end of the day, we understand it's the business. LeBron is on the end, on the back end, and he wants now. And it just kind of, you know, it kind of is what it is. So, again, I just want to applaud Russ for just going out there and staying professional and being available and playing every night.
I was at Lakers practice yesterday, and Darvin Ham actually went on for a while about Russ has been a total pro. He's always ready in this situation. Yeah. He gets it, but I do think it's interesting. I mean, it's just interesting to have the leader of your team go on TV and say, I'm really disappointed that the trade that would have sent Russell Westbrook away didn't happen, and then they suit up together the next night. So we'll see what happens. These guys.
It's not only the leader. It's not only the leader of the team. It's the best player. You know, arguably the best player ever. You know what I mean? Like, damn, like that makes it that much harder, I think. But you know, like Jack said, he's probably numb to it by this point.
Let's talk about one of the other best players ever, Steph Curry. Right, likely gone at least through the All-Star break. He had such a crazy, nasty injury report that had a bunch of names and words that I could not pronounce. But what I understand from people who know much more about medicine than me is it's basically a version of a high ankle sprain. We will see. I don't know. What do you think? Like, who steps up with him gone? Klay Thompson had, 12 triples the other night? So he could be a good candidate.
You said a version of a high ankle sprain. It was his knee, or it's his ankle?
Shin?
I think,
like around the shin area?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it's the shin area?
If you go look it up, what they initially announced, I would repeat it for you right now, but I seriously cannot pronounce half of the words that they threw out there.
Doesn't make no sense.
Okay. We can throw it on the screen, but like it's seriously, it's not good. But that's what the medical people and the media medical people are saying. It's like a shin, high ankle kind of situation. I don't know, but who steps up? Like who's going to make that happen?
Go ahead, Jack.
Well, obviously, Poole has to keep up his play. He has to continue to be aggressive, but you know, I think it's definitely Klay. Klay's been up and down this season. He's starting to get into a flow. I think with Steph being out, Klay has to come out and be way more aggressive. He has to try. He has to try to put a couple of 30, 35-point games together, especially with Steph being out. There's a lot of pressure on Poole to carry the offense, but for the most part, a lot of those young guys got to step up. But Klay is my guy. He has to go into his bag and pull out some of those 30-point games.
Rachel, I think we're going to be able to see if this team, because, you know, I still haven't really pushed the panic button somewhat. I mean, panic is probably the wrong word, but I think this time with Steph being out is going to be important because I think everyone has to step up, including the coaching staff. I think the best case scenario is this team really gets their shit together right now so that when Steph comes back after the All-Star break, you can plug Steph in because you know what Steph is going to consistently give you. You know that. So if the rest of the team can get their shit together from – and I don't mean shit together like they've been playing bad, but, you know, they're a 500 team. So if the rookies can get on track and really find out where they're going to be, DiVincenzo's been playing well. JaMychal Green is back now. Like Jack said, Klay has to continue to step up. Poole has to get his game under control, but continue to put out, you know, a high level of points. Draymond needs to stay Draymond. Right now, I think Draymond needs to step up a little more offensively, be a little bit more aggressive, and we've seen him do that. You know, from time to time this season. So I just think as a whole, Steve Kerr's best case scenario is this is when, and I'm not saying we're going to win a ton of games, but I don't think this, you know, I think they should win more games than they lose with Steph out. So I think right now we're going to see if this team can put it together so when Steph comes back, they could really make that run. But if they play below 500 basketball and Steph comes back, I don't think they're going to have a chance to compete at the end of the season.
Matt, we were talking a couple months ago about the Warriors just having that fatigue, right? I mean, they've been in the finals so many times over the last 5 years. This is a good problem to have, obviously.
Yeah.
Or more than 5 years, actually. Sorry. I don't even misspeak on Golden State's behalf. It feels like forever that they've been in the finals all the time. And, like, you don't care about the regular season as much. Everyone knows it, right? Those guys just feel like, great, we can turn it on when it counts. We need 16 wins at the end. That's it. But there's got to be a point where you've got to be playing well going into the playoffs. Golden State is still 7-20 on the road. 7-20 on the road. Now they're 20-6 at home, but they're going into the playoffs. They're, I think, the number 7 seed as we sit here today. Like, they're not going to have home court. So you need to clean that up no matter how good a team you are. When is too late? Like, when is it too late to get your act together? I mean, is week 1 of the playoffs too late? Is it the end of March too late? Like, what's too late?
The end of March is too late, Rachel. You have to really be mid-March to beginning of March, you got to be like in playoff form. Everybody has to be on the same page. Guys have to be practically healthy to the point where a coach can run off like 7-8 games in a row with playing his key guys that he's gonna have that's going to have in his playoff on the playoff roster, playoff rotation, and then the last 2 or 3 games of the season he can kind of rest those guys. That's the situation you want to be in. You want to be in a feel-good state. You want to have your 8-man rotation healthy. All those guys playing about 7-8 games before the season up hard and resting them if you going into the playoffs.
I agree. I think they need the month. Jack can contest. Post All-Star break is when the season starts. It's going to be anywhere from 25 to 30 games, depending on what your first half looked like. But that's but I think you need a month. And then, like Jack said, you want to get them in a good rhythm and then kind of wind them down going into the playoffs so that, you limit their minutes. They continue to get treatment. They continue so they're as fresh as they possibly can be, particularly for this team. Because, Golden State is an older team. So you need to, revamp Draymond's legs, Steph's legs, Klay's legs, so on and so forth. But if you're looking at the bigger picture of this year's playoffs, I'm just giving you a hypothetical. What if it's the Lakers at 8, healthy? What if it's Golden State at 7, healthy? Or in Phoenix, healthy? What if those are the bottom 3 teams versus Denver, Memphis, and Sacramento? There's going to be some shit going on in that first round, and it would be, it wouldn't be surprised if there were 3 upsets. You know what I mean? And it could completely go the other way as well. But that's how wide open and crazy this season's been. Where you think, I would have put the Clippers down there, but they're playing well. I think they may end up being a top 3, definitely a top 4 seed, but they might even slide up to a top 3 seed. But just it's been such a crazy season, and and obviously, like every season, health is the key. But if those 3 teams I just mentioned are healthy and they're at the bottom of the West, the top of the West is going to be scared as shit.
I wouldn't want to be in that number 8 spot because the Nuggets are still playing crazy basketball, right? No,
Denver's tough. With all due respect, and I feel like Denver gets disrespected because they've done everything. They've played great, but I look at them as how I used to look at Utah. Utah used to had a run of just great regular seasons, and then when they get in the play, I just have to see it in the playoffs. I'm not saying Denver is the best team in the West. They're deep. Joker is arguably could be the 3-time MVP, but I just have to see them do it in the playoffs. That's why I think to everyone else's mind, they need to see that too. That's why we feel the West is so wide open.
Yeah, I mean, again, this goes back to why Dallas said, let's take a crazy risk because if you're going to do it, this is the season to do it. All right, just one word answer. Is Draymond Green a Warrior after this season? When you said Draymond Green has to step it up, is this his final run with the Warriors?
If he's willing to take a drastic pay cut, I think he'll be. If they win and he expect to break the bank, I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think he'll have to take a cut. Rach, do you know? Does anyone could they give hypothetically? Could the Lakers give Kyrie big money next year and give Draymond some good money too, or no?
Not really. They only really have room for one big other player. But look, if Kyrie hangs on in Dallas or if they extend him, maybe you give that money to Draymond. But then that also gets into the question: how old do you want your team to be? Right? No. I mean, Draymond's not as advanced in years as LeBron is, but Draymond takes a beating out on the court. His game is aging in a different way. It's a tough thing. I don't see Draymond taking a bunch of pay cuts because, we've all met Draymond and he's a smart business guy. But also, you don't know what the market's going to be for him. Does Detroit, do the Pistons throw a crazy amount of money at him, say, come home to Michigan, be our team leader, be that vet presence we need? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But that's the other thing I'm looking at with the Warriors with this last chunk of the season and the playoffs. Draymond has said he's not sure if he's going to be with the team. I mean, he knows this is an open conversation.
Right.
So I don't know if there's like that galvanizing force. Or
if he can play with Braun, he's going to play with Braun. Trust me. He just said if Braun breaking the record and they got a game somewhere else, he's going to be at Braun game. So I guarantee you, if he get a chance to play with Braun in LA, he go home.
It'll be interesting to see what he prioritized. Rachel, I think you brought up some good scenarios. Do you want to go home and get as much money as you get? We don't know if it'll be a max, but finish at home. Do you want to continue winning? Do you want to take and be one of those rare guys that stays his entire career with one organization? Do you want to go play with Braun for not as much money, but a chance to just be a part of that whole mix? So I think it'll be very interesting to see, what happens postseason with him.
Well, you guys were talking about the tough teams in the West, and obviously Denver, to me, is still that team that a lot of people don't want to see. The Grizzlies used to be one of those teams, right? You'd say, no one wants to see the Grizzlies in the first round. Memphis has lost 8 of their last 9. Ever since the Shannon Sharp game, as I think it will be forever known, things have gone downhill there. And look, part of it, when there is turbulence, you can't ignore the fact that Memphis only has 2 players who are older than 28 years old, Steven Adams and Danny Green, and Danny Green hasn't even played yet. I mean, this is a thing that when there is a bump in the road, you need a vet. And we've talked for years, guys, about how there's fewer vet presences in the NBA because of the roster changes and the rule changes. How badly do you think the Grizzlies need to look for a vet before the trade deadline?
Well, they need more than a vet, Rach. You know what I'm saying? They need more than a vet. I mean, I like Ja. I like the passion of this team. You know, I like the confidence. But at some point, you got to come to reality. You know, you have to look in the mirror and accept what's real. And I think they have a hard time doing that. Yeah, we know y'all a real confident team, but on the grand scheme of things, y'all not nowhere close to the championship mold of a team at all, what a championship team looks like. You know, y'all competitive team, yeah. Y'all kind of remind me of our Warrior team with the We Believe days. We were a young competitive team. In our mind, we was a championship team, but in the grand scheme of things, Rach, we were nowhere close to being ready. Right. And Utah showed us the second round. So they in that same situation. And I think they need another star, Rachel. I don't think they shouldn't be comfortable with the team they have. They gotta make some other moves. I don't think it's a vet. I think it's another star. A vet only gonna do so much for a team full of young guys because you ain't gonna be able to get them all in line, Rach. Only 1 or 2 might listen. All of them ain't gonna listen. So they need it, and that's just being real. They need another star to get to where they want to be.
I agree 1,000%. Although I feel like all locker rooms should have vets, that's a different group. And it would take a very crafty vet to be able to, capture these young fellas' minds, especially because, they're second in the West and they've had some success. So I think first and foremost, and I love the way they played. I just think they need to humble themselves a little bit. I think, they're doing the talking is louder than the play, and you don't ever really want that to be the case. I think this team is still going to be fine. I think they've hit a rough patch during the dog days of the season. I think they're going to be able to regather, regroup. But I think what Jack said is key, and I've been saying this a lot on ESPN, is who is their for sure number 2? Right. Obviously Bane is having a career year. Hats off to him, he's playing really well. Is Jaren Jackson that consistent guy? I think Jaren Jackson hasn't been as consistent as you would like someone to be that second, like Robin to Ja's Batman. We know what Ja's going to give you regular season and playoffs. He's just a killer, plain and simple. Who is going to be that number 2 option that could consistently give you that 20 to 22, 23 points, sometimes give you 30 in the playoffs? And I don't know, although I think Jaren Jackson and some of those other guys are capable of doing, like, scoring 30 in a playoff game. They're not going to be that consistent guy, that is going to be your dog, the Brown to Tatum and the PG to Kawhi that some of these other teams that really have a chance to win a championship have.
You also have all the off-court issues. You've got the incident in Indiana the other night, right, where Ja's best friend got into it physically with some of the Pacers staff and then got in an SUV that Ja Morant also got into. He was in that SUV, and the Pacers say that someone trained a red laser on them, and there was no one confirmed there was a gun, but that was the sort of implication. The NBA investigated it. They said they couldn't prove anything one way or another, but they left it open. Ja's best friend is now banned from not only being on the road, but he's banned from Memphis home games for the rest of the year. Ja's also in a lawsuit because of a physical altercation he got into earlier in the season. I mean, if you guys were giving advice to Ja Morant right now, Stack, you've dealt with some of this stuff. What would you tell Ja right now?
I tell him to distance himself from anybody that don't have the same vision or the same purpose. The same people don't feel the same way about him losing everything. You know what I'm saying? You have to care. You can't care about these things because I care about it. You have to care about it because you don't want me to lose everything I work for, right? It's a different situation. You caring about it because I care about it. You only care about it because I care about it because you don't want to lose what I'm doing for you. Right. But if you care about me, then you'll care about me losing all these things. And I just think for Ja, he has to get to the point where he got to understand who he is. I've been in situations where, I started making money and I felt like money could fix everything, and that's not realistic, right? You have to make the right decisions for yourself because everybody around you is not. And I have to also correct myself too, Rachel. It's one person I know that can go in there and get that locker room, but it's Jersey and the Raptors, and that's Zebo.
Well, look,
That's for sure.
That's some real wisdom there, Stack. That's serious.
Yeah. I just think that Ja has to understand what's at stake right now. You know what I mean? And we don't know the whole side, the whole story, what happened, who's with them. Obviously Shannon Sharp went in and tried to give him some advice the other day that, he made some good points. Some things I didn't necessarily agree with, but at the same time, I think he was saying it to try to help him. I just think Ja has to understand what's at risk. I mean, obviously his talent is unbelievable. This guy can make a ton of money, not only playing the game, but he just signed, he just got a signature shoe. The endorsements are going to continue to come off the court as well. So he just has a lot more to lose. So you just have to understand. I mean, if we can't tell him who he can and can't hang out with, you obviously want to have a tight circle that have your best interests at heart. But at the end of the day, some people are your people. Sometimes I think they'll get to a point if you realize you got to let somebody go, because a lot of times you outgrow people, but they hang on somehow, some way. So he just had to understand that, he's going to continue to elevate, and certain friends are meant for certain levels, and it continues to get smaller and tighter, and you're going to bring some with you. You just can't bring them all with you. So I just hope that, he understands what's at risk right now. Some shit you just can't do. And me and Jack have both done some shit you just can't do. You know what I mean? So
speaking from
we're
experience.
not, so we're not trying to tell, hey, you shouldn't, we're the last people to say you shouldn't do that. I just, hope is, just as people who've been through some shit and not even on the level he's on because of who he is, just understand what's important, man. Understand your vision, understand where you're going, and everybody can't go.
That's
and
legit right?
If I could share one message with Ja Rach, it would be what I learned. The biggest thing I've learned: everybody's not meant to benefit from your blessing. God would take something away from you because you got somebody benefit that he didn't intend to bless. And I learned that the hard way. So Ja, God blessed you for a reason. He didn't bless everybody around you.
But how hard is that? You're 23 years old. You're an NBA player, and this happens to a lot of guys. How legit hard is it to guys
Very
that
hard.
you're really
That's
tight
like,
with to say,
it's real hard.
Pause here.
It's hard, but also this is something you have to learn how to say no to family too. Yeah, and I'm not talking about his situation in particular, but I'm just talking about in general. You just have to learn how to say no, and Rachel, it's not easy. He could have really grew up sleeping in the same bed, and with someone who he may have to let go at some point. But at the end of the day, you just have to realize that if they're a liability, their name doesn't matter. It's your name that's going to get dragged.
And they don't play in Naptown. I've been in this situation.
No. You've had you've had an incident there, Jack.
Jamal Tinsley too. So they don't play in Naptown. And like I said, right, you just got to try to avoid putting yourself in those situations, right? There's no need for anybody around him to have a gun with a beam on him, with him in the car, or nothing like that, even if it's legal, right? And he shouldn't even put himself in a situation if he know his guys are in the city.
Proven, but you're right, totally.
Yeah. If he's in the guy, well, it's not proven right. But if he's in the city with guys knowing he just had an incident and knowing that it make more sense for him to stay with the team and go, with the team. Sometimes you got to make decisions like I said, right. Matt made some bad decisions, so we can speak and hopefully we can share these things so people won't make the same mistakes we made.
Yeah, it's tough. I have a lot of empathy for guys, especially young guys who haven't lived all the experience you guys have, to have to make those choices. I think it's difficult, and we're watching him deal with it in real time. It's also interesting if you look at the Grizzlies going forward, right? Because the odds keep changing with all these teams acquiring new players. So here's some odds presented by DraftKings that struck my eye. To win the Southwest Division, the Grizzlies have been a super heavy favorite. They still are, minus 550. The Mavs, 4.5 games behind the Grizz, they're at plus 550. That's a huge swing. But the Dallas Mavericks just got Kyrie Irving, and Memphis has lost 8 of its last 9. So what are your odds, guys? Who do you think comes out of that division? Do you think the Mavs or the Grizzlies are going to end with a better record?
I think the Grizzlies are. Again, I think they've hit a rough patch in the dog days of the season. We still feel they're possibly a player away from winning a championship. But they're still good enough to win the Western Conference, I feel. And with all due respect to the adding of Kyrie Irving, I still don't know with that move, and that's a hell of a move. I don't know if Dallas can still win the Western Conference, and I could be wrong. Luka's a maniac, and Kyrie could be a maniac too out there, just being unstoppable. But at the same time, I just feel like Memphis has a better team. I think they're going through a rough stretch right now. I think they'll be able to shake this. I think they'll be able to humble themselves and come back and get back to playing good basketball, and they can represent the Western Conference. I just don't know if they have enough to win it.
I wouldn't say Dallas is a better team, but I think the jig is up on Memphis.
Really?
I just think they ain't fooling nobody no more, Rach. Like they was a surprise to a lot of people. They walk into a lot of arenas, people like, yeah, they talking, but can they really do it? So they're surprising a lot of teams. But at the same time, I don't think they can go any higher with what they have. I think they stuck right there where they at. With Dallas, it's a new excitement. They might not have the better team than Memphis, but it's a new excitement. You got two better players with Kyrie and Luka, and no telling what they can do. Luka has willed Dallas to a lot of wins without Kyrie. Right. Just imagine what he can do with him.
I don't know. Wow, that's a lot. That's bold on Memphis. I'm interested to see what happens now. You got my attention, Steven Jackson, as always. We got to hit our legendary moment presented by Top Shot. NBA All-Stars approaching, guys, and ton of memorable moments in All-Stars. Matt, what is your most memorable All-Star moment? What sticks out in your mind?
When Magic Johnson came back after pronouncing he was HIV positive, I think it was in Orlando. He came back and won the MVP. Him being my favorite player growing up, that was my number one All-Star. It gives me chills to even say it right now, and the fact that we just had him on the show not too long ago. But yeah, definitely Magic Johnson coming back after retiring and winning the MVP.
Jelani's in the room here with me, by the way. He just raised both of his arms up high, so you got an endorsement.
Come on, man. You already know what it is. Showtime.
What about you, Stack?
Mine was my rookie year when I played in the rookie All-Star game. I think the best All-Star game was I got a chance to see Steph and AI on the team together.
Yeah.
Something that the whole world wanted to see. They was down like 15 points in the fourth quarter with a small lineup, and they came back and took over the game. It was one of the most competitive All-Star games I've ever seen, and everybody just expected the West to win because of the stacked team they had. But it was a great All-Star game, great experience in DC.
Jack, who was and we don't even have to keep this on if we don't want to, but who was on that? I don't remember who was on those teams. Who was on that?
I think the East it was Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Stephon Marbury, Allen Iverson, and I can't think who the fifth person was, but the West had Tim Duncan, they had all the big guys.
KG,
so it was supposed to be a beatdown, but AI and Steph stepped up.
I remember them coming back and putting in work.
Allen Iverson in DC, making the moment. It's not going to shock you. That's my top one. But I do give the Magic Johnson one's pretty excellent. Top Shot, guys, is doing a great deal with What's Burning right now. They're giving away a free moment, the first 1,000 new users, to scan this QR code. I'm pointing to a QR code that's imaginary right now in the studio, but you'll see it on your screen. They'll be able to create their account and claim their very first Top Shot moment. You get either Anthony Davis or Jason Tatum, so that's pretty good. So start your NBA Top Shot collection today at NBATopShot.com. You can get closer than ever to the game and the players you love. Clutch Points, guys, I got to tell you, so they always come up with interesting stuff, right? Are you on any of their feeds?
Yeah, I've seen their stuff on socials.
I like some of the odd articles they put together. One caught my eye yesterday. Smart investments players have made while in the league. I just want to throw some of these numbers at you. Iggy invested in Zoom, Andre Iguodala, in 2018. So that was pre-COVID, right? He has reportedly made 4,000% return on his initial investment.
Unbelievable.
Our guy Baron Davis invested in vitamin water early. We don't know exactly how much, but Coca-Cola bought the company for $4.1 billion. That's with a B, so Barron made out. Kobe invested $6 million into Body Armor. Apparently, the lesson is here, invest in sports drinks. Body Armor sold in 2021 for $8 billion, and Kobe earned $400 million from that investment.
Wow.
Carmelo Anthony invested $500K in Mophie, the phone chargers company, right?
Yeah.
But he got right when they were starting out. He was an angel investor. 9 years later, Apple buys them. Melo cashes out from a $500,000 investment. He made $5 million. And then you got LeBron James, 2008. He was asked to wear the Beats headphones in exchange for a small stake in the company. And we all know the end of that story, gentlemen. Apple again bought Beats. LeBron made about $30 million.
Sheesh.
30 million.
Just to put him on.
Right? Is that insane?
The king.
I don't know who's the winner of all that. Might be LeBron, right? Because he didn't even have to put any money down. He just made $30 million just by putting something on his head. Players are doing that a lot more than when you guys played. Although, Matt, I feel like you're into everything.
Yeah, I mean, nothing big like these big dogs. And then we also forget guys like Junior Bridgman, who did, the food chains and who made a ton of money. Vinnie Johnson from the Detroit Pistons is a monster out in Detroit, with his car. So I just think it's encouraging and it's dope. And I feel like now players are more, it's when Jack and I were in the locker room, we weren't talking about investing. We were talking about cars, clothes, jewelry, women. That was next. Also women, girls. Houses, all that kind of stuff.
So guys, that was not after that long. That was near
So it definitely wasn't, what are you investing in and all this kind of strategic cool stuff where it made financial literacy cool. So I just think these are great stories to continue to encourage some of these younger guys to basketball is dope, but it's just the tip of the iceberg and continue to, look up to guys like this and soak up games, surround yourself with people and invest and understanding the power in, like LeBron, you are your own business. A lot of times for these younger guys, you don't have to put a ton of money in, if any, because you are, you're such a huge catch. I can't tell you how many companies I'm in just for being me. And I wasn't even a star. So just, these young up and coming stars, man, just continue to, And this even goes back to Ja, just continue to move the right way because, you represent brands, and you're super marketable. You're the new wave. You're it. It's going to be your NBA one day. So just understand big picture, man, and just know that basketball is just the beginning.
Yeah, man. It's funny. You run into people who aren't basketball fans, right? And they ask you things. Someone asked me the other day how the car dealer guy was doing on the Lakers. It took me a long time to figure out who that was, and they were talking about Russell Westbrook.
Is it Russ, right? Doesn't Russ have car dealerships? Yeah, I mean, dudes are doing a bunch of dope shit.
I mean, that was pretty
I love
crazy.
it.
Just before we go, guys, we do got to hit LeBron. Now, we're taping this on Tuesday morning. I don't know when everyone out there is watching or listening to it, but as of today, LeBron still needs 36 points to pass Kareem. Lakers are at home tonight against the Thunder. Matt, you had asked producer Nate over here to see what the odds were for this historic feat by LeBron, and I want to show them to you. DraftKings is giving plus 130 if he breaks it tonight, minus 225 if he does it on Thursday. And I do have to note, OKC is on the second night of a back-to-back. They were up in the Bay last night. Klay Thompson dropped 42 on them. So do they bounce back tonight wanting to prove something and not want to be the team that LeBron breaks the record against, or what? Does LeBron do it Tuesday night against Oklahoma City?
I don't think so. I think LeBron is, LeBron is so strategic and always looks big picture. He's writing his ending, so why not wait till Thursday night, nationally televised game on TNT against Kareem's old team and do it there. So I see Bron dropping, maybe a nice 25 tonight and breaking it against Milwaukee. Just a bigger storyline, and you got to think he's always up to something as far as writing his story.
You know what, Matt? I disagree. I think you're gonna do it at home. It can't be.
It is at home. That game's at home.
Oh, they're both at home.
Yeah.
They're both at home.
I agree with you then.
Yeah, TNT Thursday night. So I think it's the bigger stage.
If they both at home, I agree with y'all. OKC ain't gonna want nobody to come out and just blast. They might let everybody on that team use all 6 of their fouls and don't allow them to break this record. I agree with y'all. Against Milwaukee, Matt, I didn't think about that against Kareem's old team. I gotta agree with you 100% on that one.
All right. See,
I think though, Rachel. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because. Go ahead. Just jump in. I'll edit.
No, you have such a you're someone who has a good relationship with Kareem. Like, what do you think? Will Kareem be in the building? Do you have any insight on that? And will this be because we've heard in the past he's not very happy. Even Magic said, I don't think Kareem's going to be happy with this. So, as someone who has a relationship and an open line of communication, how do you feel like this will, this will pass? Because these are two greats in history, both Lakers. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look. Anything could happen, right? And if anyone could pull off Kareem being in the building, it's Jeannie Buss, because she has nurtured those relationships for so long. And maybe she went to Kareem and said, I need you there. I want you there. Please do it for the Lakers organization. I would not guess that Kareem would be in the building tonight, just from what has gone on between the two of them in the past, and I just don't think that's been Kareem's way. But we'll see. I mean, there's been some really graceful passing of the torch, right? When Steph Curry broke the three-point record, and the way Reggie Miller was so just gracious and amazing, and Ray Allen was so amazing during that whole process with him. I don't anticipate the same thing when
Reggie different. Reggie Miller's different.
Am I being? Is it working?
Yeah, Reggie Miller's different, bro.
Yeah, 100%. See, here's the thing. I don't know what night he's going to do it. I want him to do it tonight. I want him to do it by scoring 36 in one night because it's anticlimactic to me. Like, I know it's a big TNT game. I know it's Milwaukee Bucks, like all of that stuff. And then you've got, the team Kareem played for and the other team Kareem played for and all that stuff. But I don't know. Do you really want him to break it on like the 6th point in the first quarter? Like, I want him to break it on a game in the 4th quarter where it matters, where he's like dropped at age 39. He's dropped nearly 40 points. Like, that shit's
That'd
great
be dope
when that happens, right? That's more fun.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope. But I agree with you. I think that would be dope. But I also think like a big game against Milwaukee, whatever point he gets it at, and they end up winning like a thrilling game in LA. You know what I mean? I just think that
they could lose that game, Matt.
There's no question. They can lose both these games, Rachel. Rachel, they can lose both these games. So I think
I pour more money on them winning a game where LeBron scores 36 than on them winning a game against Giannis in Milwaukee where LeBron has to only score 8
Well,
points.
he better do it against OKC then, because it ain't no promise that Giannis might come in there and get 50.
We could all dream.
We'll see. I don't know. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here today. What's Burnin', available every week on Showtime Basketball YouTube.
And on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at ShoBasketball.
Woohoo!
Have a good one.
See y'all next week.
One of the greatest players in history was cheated out of his career. I noticed Mahmoud was not standing for the national anthem.
Am I saying that everything in America is bad? No. But wherever the bad is, as a Muslim, we don't stand for it.
Mahmoud never said, I'm gonna burn the house down, but the Klan burned his house down.
His willingness to take a stand, we should be celebrated for that.